Hey, what's up YouTube? Peter here again, once again from Roland Heights. And I got my little assistant Isla here. Say hi, Isla. Okay, so anyway, I am going to perform an oil change for this 2014 Sienna, Toyota Sienna. Regular V6. So these are the things that I'm using. I am using a 020 weight Mobil 1 synthetic, as you can see. For Toyotas as well, 020 weight is the recommended weight. I'm using synthetic because it'll last longer, and you know, we do a lot of city driving on this car, so we want to make sure that it's fully protected. And this is the oil filter. I got it, I bought it online. I believe it was like $7. There is your part number 04152-YZZA1. And as a disclaimer, I am not sponsored by Toyota, simply using it because I do have a Toyota car. There's a tool right there to the instructions on how to do it, but I'll show you guys as well on how I'm going to do it. And I bought this really awesome tool online as well, and I will show you guys how to use it later. This will prevent me from having to use that that little circular part to remove the oil filter canister. And then, so this tool I got online, and I am not sponsored either, but I will show you guys how to use it later. But the first and foremost, when changing the oil, I always want to remove the oil cap. And it does say 020 here as well. 020 is the recommended oil. And there it is. I'll put it here aside right now. Make sure you don't spill oil anywhere. And at the same time, I always want to pull out the dipstick, but in this case, I'll just leave it up like this for now. And then I'm going to go down there and remove the drain plug. So, using a 14mm set, you just remove the drain plug. Okay. Kind of hard to do it one-handed, but I'll show you guys anyway. Wow, whoever did this really did it tight. Whew, that's tight. Hang on. Little trick of the trade. If you need more leverage, you go ahead and you clip it like this, and then so you have more leverage. Let's see if that'll work now. There we go. I was able to break it loose. Should be able to just do it like this now. All right. And then hopefully you have a really nice drain right here. Okay, wow, whoever did this oil change before really tightened it up. That wasn't cool. And make sure it doesn't have a washer. This one probably doesn't even have a washer, but there you go. Whoop, there it is. All right. So I'm gonna let this drain for a while, and I'll get back with you guys. Alright guys, so you know, it's still a little dripping right now, and I just basically made sure that the oil catcher is right underneath both. But before you remove the oil filter housing, you want to remove, like, kind of like loosen this up. So this one's a little loose already, and then I guess you could just remove this as well, because that'll release the pressure from the oil filter. And then at that point, you should be able to remove this housing. Alright, so now that tool earlier, if you look at it, this is the tool I'm using. It goes right in between these notches here. And you can just, there, twist that off. Okay. And you should be able to remove it by hand. And you'll be able to see the canister. Okay. That's why it's important to remove this, because it releases pressure. Okay, it'll still drip some more, so be really careful. Make sure you have your oil catcher. There you go. There. All right. There you have it. Let it drip some more. All right, guys. So real quick, I forgot to mention, you guys, when you guys remove this cover from underneath, this is the oil filter housing. There's a reason why you remove this first, okay? And I forgot to mention to you guys, this tool comes with most of the oil filters, and what you do is you actually put it this way, okay? And what you do is you actually get it and you just push it down here while the housing is still on the car. And the reason why you do that is you're going to release pressure so that you don't have a hard time removing the filter. So what this does is actually you can actually push this, and then it'll create some kind of a release in pressure here, and it'll be a lot easier for you to remove the housing. Okay, so just a good FYI for you guys, so you guys don't struggle to remove it, because most people, they end up stripping this area right here, and that's the whole reason why I bought this tool, because that'll prevent that from happening. It's only $10. It's worth your while. And of course, it comes with a set of washers that you want to change out every single time, especially if you're using Toyota parts, which I always recommend. And then they actually made a little slit here, so you can use like a little tiny screwdriver. Just be really careful, guys. It's actually really easy to remove. So I just removed that, and then see, there's another notch right there, and then you guys could actually remove it from there as well. So I don't know why they've made it more complicated now, but it is what it is. So there you go. So just remove that. I'm trying to do this one-handed, so bear with me. And there you go. So what you want to do is wipe all this down, wipe all that down, and then what you want to do is, it actually, the oil filter box actually shows you what step is next. So you want to change them out, change out your washers, and then of course you put the canister back in this way. Okay, so just reverse order. You'll see once you have it established. Alright, so now I've removed it. I cleaned all the residue off this right here. So then, you know, they always say put like a little bit of oil on the little O-ring. Honestly, I really don't know why, but I just do it. Me personally, I think it helps for it to stay in place. But in this case, it's not really gonna matter much, because you're gonna cover it anyway. So then once you do this, you get this guy right here, and you want to put it back on. But for now, just you know, don't do it too tight just yet. Just kind of like put it on hand tight, whatnot. There, and then you can tighten it later once the cap is on the car itself. And I do the same thing for the big O-ring. So just kind of go through it with your finger that has oil, you know, and then just place that thing in there, and you should be good to go. So now that it's on, there you go, bottom side's on. Remember, I just hand tightened this for now. Okay, I'll do the final tightening later. Okay, and it even says right here, you gotta tighten this. It says about 25 plus or minus torque, 25 pounds of torque. So you do that, you just get your new oil filter, filter canister, and there's your part number again, 15613 YZZA1. Verify 04152. I don't know why they did it that way, but it's the same size. So put it in place, okay, and then put it back on the opposite way you did it. So again, remember, when you put this back on, you want this part loose. I mean, if you want, you could even leave it off for now, but with me, you know, yeah, you know what, let's just go ahead and remove it for now. Just make sure that O-ring does not fall off. If it does, you got to look for it. Okay, so that, because what you do is you're actually, as you're screwing this on, it's creating pressure there, and it's actually pressing up against the oil filter, and that's the reason why it's important to remove this, because it releases pressure. See, now it's not hard to put on. Okay, now I just tighten it to 25 pounds of torque, and then I can actually put this on now, because I've already locked it in place. Because remember, guys, the inside is spring loaded. Where the oil filter canister is, it's actually spring loaded. When you get to the tightness of this oil filter housing, it's actually creating a press on the spring loaded mechanism that connects the oil filter grid to your canister. So it's important to remove the bottom part first, so that you don't create an air pocket there. Pretty brilliant design, but you know. Okay, and then you put this bad boy back on. And then what you want to do is tighten this first, and then this. Alright guys, now that that's in place, you want to make sure that you've tightened it, and of course after you've refilled the engine's oil, you want to make sure it's not leaking. So again, you want to tighten this up first, because it's gonna press in as you get to the last few turns. Imagine this canister is gonna get compressed against the engine, and then the valve over here that releases the pressure that you guys were using the plastic nozzle for is getting pressed in as well. So that's why you want to reinstall this one last, and then check your tightness again. This one right here should be flushed right up against there, and then you follow through with this final bolt right here to finally compress it and make it airtight. So again, it's a really good design, but remember, that's the reason why I recommend using OEM parts, because they have that special tool it comes with. It's just a piece of plastic, but it changes the game a lot because of the fact that it's releasing the pressure for you, and you don't want to be sticking objects in there that don't belong, because then you're going to end up messing up your car. All right, next step. So your next step, I mean, I don't know how long you're gonna have it drip, but this thing has been dripping a while. It's still dripping a little bit, but I think I'm done. I'm gonna go ahead and put my lock nut back in for the oil pan, and then just remember, if it came with a washer, which I don't think mine did, make sure you put it back. Alright guys, now that I put the lock nut back in, a perfect way to indicate how much oil to use is, if you really don't know the specs and you don't want to mess up, you can measure it by moving this amount that you put in here, of course, if granted it was empty, into another empty container, and then you could measure it from there. But I think at this point I kind of know how much I need in here, and you know, they said it's like 6 quarts or whatnot, but you might want to double check. Okay, you always want to double check on your oil, and then you know, start the car and then turn it off, pull the stick, wipe it, put the stick back in, and then that should be your accurate reading. All right guys, so all together I put about 6.5 quarts. So basically what I did was that I put 5 first. I started the car, let it, you know, fill in, because remember the canister has a container in its own that probably holds like 1/4 of a quart. And so I want to make sure that I cycled it through. I shut off the engine, pulled the dipstick, wiped it clean, and then you know, basically put it back in, pulled it out, and it was still deficient by a little bit. So long story short, I ended up putting 6.5 quarts in. Maybe because I let it drip too long or whatnot, but 6.5 sounds about right. And then of course you want to check it frequently, and again you want to check the bottom, make sure nothing's leaking out, and other than that you should be all good. Anyway guys, that's your oil change for a 2014 Sienna. So it should be the same for years 2011 all the way to, I believe, 16, 15 or whatnot. But this is the motor, TGR FE. This is the Toyota Sienna V6. All right guys, please comment down below if you have any suggestions better than mine. I am not a professional mechanic. I just do this because I like DIYs, and I also believe in, if you want to get something right, you got to do it yourself. So yeah, so I went ahead and did that, and then I used 020 synthetic Mobil 1, so it should be good for a year. And on this van we probably put about 4,000 miles a year, if that. So needless to say, you know, the engine's in good shape in terms of oil increments. Anyway guys, if you like this video, please hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one. Peace.